Getting ready to do a bench test on this generator. This is on a positive ground, 1954 Kaiser Darrin. And seen a couple tricks on the internet just to see if these things are working. So I've got the ground screw, since this is positive ground, I've got the ground screw running to the positive terminal of the 6-volt battery. And then there's A for armature, F for field here on the armature side. If I touch this to the negative, and I'm going to use a clamp here to get a good connection, then the generator should run, which it is. And then to check the field from the field terminal, since this is positive ground, if I stick this back to the negative side, then it should slow down, which it is slowing down. Doesn't stop, but it does slow down, so that shows me the field is also working. So it's good. We got a functional unit here. Also, while we're here on the back side, we'll just take a quick look at the brushes. They have a spring-loaded mechanism here, and what we're looking for is, do they move? So I'm gonna, yep. So the spring-loaded mechanism is free, and you can see we have quite a bit of brush life. I mean, that thing can wear all that distance there. And if we check the other side, same kind of deal. Let's see if we can, yep. Trying to get the light for you, but yeah, it's spring loaded also and got plenty of wear, so that's good. It's functional and got plenty of brush life. I'll go ahead and put a little bit of oil in this one. It's got the little oiling cap there, and then it'll be ready to put on the car. Okay, I just did the generator bench test. Works great. Getting it mounted on here, and I just discovered something in the sequence. I'd put the fan on, but the bracket uses this bolt on the water pump to attach to the generator here, and you have to put that bolt, you have to put that bracket on before you put the fan on. So I gotta take the fan back off so I can put the bracket back on. Okay, I've got everything kind of lined up, belt on there. I'm gonna tighten these fan belt bolts first so that that's nice and square on there and tight, because you don't want to tighten any of this or it'll just rotate the fan blade type thing because it's putting tension on it. And then we'll tighten this guy and then the two underneath. And when I was tightening these, I noticed there's a gap there as I try to tighten that. It's getting pretty tight, so there's a couple spacer washers that go in there. Did a few more checks on this Bendix actuator mechanism for the starter, and I thought the thing was froze up, so I cleaned everything up real good, and I had forgot that I had put the tape on there when I painted that, and that was also keeping this from pulling back. So when it actuates, it pulls in this direction, pulls this lever and shoves the gear forward while the motor turns. So, you know, I verified the motor spins, and now I verified the actuator's working. So I'll just go ahead and tighten these two bolts up for the starter, and I think we're ready for starter then. Got the fuel pump rebuild kit in from a place out east called Then and Now, and we'll go ahead and take this guy apart and see what it looks like in here. got tape and stuff on here. Is for me just blasting to clean up the housing, make it look nice. And then I use the Dremel with the wire brush just to clean up these brass fittings a little bit. Okay, get all the tape off. Now we'll start taking on the brass and get the tape off of this area, and then we'll start tearing this apart. Okay, now we can start taking it apart. Got all the screws out except one. That head broke off, so we'll get that threaded piece out of there. At least it broke off below where there's threads on this piece, and we'll get another screw we'll have to put in there. Okay, from the kit we've laid all the parts out here. This one looks a little sketchy. We'll have to see what the part looks like inside, but not exactly sure on that pin. It looks like there's some flash or something there, but I'm not going to take that off until I see what it looks like inside. Just looking for a little area where there's some gap between the metal there, which is what I found at that spot right there. Okay, we're going to carefully pull this apart. Okay, so on this half we see the rubber piece here, and from a screw clocking, looks like they're at 6 and 12 o'clock from that area. Okay, I can see that this piece is going to pull down on that, so there's probably a slot and a hole up in here, so we're going to have to get this piece out to disconnect that. Okay, now I see how this is going to start working. There's a little keeper pin here, and then this pin, we'll have to pull this plug out, pull that pin out, and then we can slide that bar out of there. So we're going to pull this pin off, take this cap off to drive that pin out, and then the arm should slide out, and then this piece should come out. There's the little pin that come off. And that's the pin that's going to go back in there. So I'm going to go put this in the vise and drive that cap out. Okay, got the little cap tapped out of there. Now we can catch that little edge there and drive that pin out. There's a little fork on the end of that, and then that released the spring from this, and that guy comes out. So we can clean up the inside of all that really well. Okay, we've got all that cleaned out. We'll go ahead and do the reverse assembly to this thing. Put this guy down in here. I have the bar. We'll push this guy down, make the piece appear down in there. Here we got the pin almost all the way in. Just tap to get it all the way in there. Push it a little further. Okay, I just pushed it flat now, so now we can put the new keeper spring on there. New one's over here. Use a small pair of needle nose. Okay, now we've got the keeper spring on there, and then we just got to put this cap back on here. It's just a little casting. This looks like a piece of soft metal. Got that piece back on. So this half is now rebuilt. Got new plunger, new post, new pin, and new keeper. Set that off to the side. This side looks a little more complex. We've got, I see this rubber piece there. It looks like one of these rubber pieces back under that hole, and maybe another one under here. So we'll see. We'll take these two screws out and separate this and see what we've got. Deep screws there. I guess also we gotta put this spring back over here on this guy. There's a little catch there and a bump there. I was able to just put that on with my thumb all right, so put that in a vise just to get it open a little bit. Let's see. Okay. We can clean that side out. Here's the other rubber piece. Definitely crispy. And I'm just gently pulling on this screen, and it came out okay. Hey, get these pieces out. Had to use a screwdriver and punch on each of these 3 segments to knock these little brass rings out. So kind of the way those go in there, they've got the rubber piece There's a spring that goes up in the center piece and then the rubber piece, and then this thing holds them in. So we'll go in the opposite direction and put them back together. So we'll start with this side here, because that's where this spring was. And what I saw was you put the spring in first. One thing I was noticing, these springs, you know, these guys compared to those guys are not the same size. That guy was down in there, he was pushing up pretty good on that piece. I may put these back in, see if I can get it to go in there. Reshape these just a hair. One of them got a little bit coming out of there. New rubber piece that goes there. Okay, got that one in. Not gonna put this on yet because I'm gonna have to hammer this side in. The spring didn't have any adjustments needed for it. this one. Like that. I'm assuming this die-cast piece was just this pin here, which the other one was fine, so I just mashed it back in, so didn't really need that. Okay. Only one way for that to go on, really, because the screen has to go down into that opening. The gasket's plenty big. Not sure what these other parts are for. Must be a different type of carburetor or something. Don't need those. We've replaced these. I'm going to lightly push on that. Yeah, just like the other one. You can tell the spring pressure under there. Okay. Now the only thing left is trying to get this broken screw out of here. Broken easy out tip in it. What I'm thinking about doing is just putting all the screws back in, and then I can just drill a through hole next to this, and then tap and put a screw in just right next to it. So I think that's the approach we'll take. Okay, so the clocking will go like this. I'll get these screws in, and then I'll drill through that other one and put another one in. Okay, finally got the pump all back together. This hole that's stripped out, and then it's got an easy out stock in it, couldn't drill, so I just drilled beside it and put a 1024 tap in there, and then cleared out the top half of this, and then so this is where the thread side, so got plenty of compression on that side of the gasket now, so it's all set. And for some reason in this kit they gave me like, I don't know, 7 or 8 of these gaskets. Should only take one because that's what come off of there, so we'll go put this on the car. Should fit right on like that. Okay, we're on the exhaust side of the engine, and this is where the fuel pump goes in. And I had a gasket from the engine rebuild kit that was better than the one that come with those the rebuild for this fuel pump. So this one, so I'm going to use it, and then we'll get these bolts in here. Okay, I've got them started. A little challenging. You get one started, and then you got to kind of get some pressure on that because it's on that cam in there. So get one side started, and then I kind of rotate it in, and then I also started this fuel line output.